Dear viewers, welcome to the show Power Chat, Nepal's only TV talk show in English discussing development since 2016. Through this episode tonight, we are discussing gender mainstreaming in the newsrooms of Nepal, with particular focus on the role of media, combating gender-based violence and harmful practices. And I'm joined tonight by Ms. Namrata Sharma, a noted writer and freelance journalist who also served as the president of Center for Investigative Journalism, Nepal. Let's talk. Welcome to the show, Ms. Sharma.
Thank you, Lakshmanji.
How have you been?
I'm fine. But first of all, via you and Yoho television, I would like to give a warm greetings to all the viewers in this cold Kathmandu day.
Well, it's our pleasure having you in this show. You served with different organizations in leading position.
Right.
And you have been closely watching the social issues here in Nepal through your writing, activism and advocacy. How do you analyze the Nepal's media landscape as such, with particular focus on gender mainstreaming issues in Nepali media outlets?
I think it's a very important issue that you bring up. Unfortunately, at this age and date also, we still have to talk about gender issues. And because that's a reality globally, actually, you know. Because you asked me the scenario of Nepal, now doing a flashback to 1990 when freedom of speech and press was established in this country, you know. From then to now, if I observe the country, I feel the media of Nepal has done great progress, you know, both in terms of bringing the overall political changes in this country and also taking up social issues. And as the days are moving on with the political revolution, the underground movement and all that, you know, issues related to the marginalized communities. And even within the marginalized communities, issues of women have been coming up, you know. And media has played a good role in the feminist movement of the country, because right from the early 90s, when we started working on bringing, amending the family laws of Nepal, you know, to make sure girls have equal rights to ancestral property. It took a long time. There were several amendments till now, finally, a couple of years, that both sons and daughters, as soon as they are born, they have equal rights to property, you know. So right from that to now, issues related to, you know, the government establishing equal rights to quote-unquote third gender, sexual minorities, women's issues, you know, media has played a good role. And, you know, like, frankly speaking, if you look at big issues like property rights, you know, establishing the Domestic Violence Act, which we did not have, right to abortion, you know, media has taken that up in a very strong and proper way continuously to make sure pro-women laws and pro-minority laws are formed. However, in the last few years, coming from the media background myself and also working on human rights, particularly women's rights, I also see a kind of a glamorizing, you know, approach to covering issues, particularly related to rape, related to sexual harassment, you know, issues like the #MeToo issues and how it was covered. So in some ways, I feel a little bit disappointed, because I feel there is a kind of a glamorizing celebrity status and voices of only, you know, certain section of the population coming out. That is also happening.
Well, Ms. Sharma, you shared with us really interesting historical anecdotes, how Nepal's media shifted their priorities alongside the technological innovations. Are you of the view that our newsrooms are not inclusive in terms of representing all genders, their dignities?
Definitely, definitely. See, there has been an improvement in the sense, like, in the early 90s, I had reached BBC Bush House at that point, you know, World Service. And when I was covering and when I was looking at the Nepali Seva service there, even if they needed women's voice, they used to get the partners of the male journalist, But now, when I look and I listen to BBC Nepali Seva, I hear stringers from all parts of the country, women voices, strong reporters, and editors also. So there is a progress on the inclusion of women in journalism. However, if you look at newsrooms of the daily newspapers, television show, there are women where they can be seen even in televisions, like reporters, producers, I don't know, they're coming up. But in decision-making position, we have a big lack of women. Editors, you see, editorial role. Sometimes I wonder, like even in the mid-90s, I had already become a kind of a assistant editor and editor of a leading weekly, But if you look now, in publicly owned, the media of Nepal, it has changed turns, like apart from being just state-owned, it has come to private sector, political affiliated. We have all that whole mixture of media in this country, right? But now it has become corporatized. And my worries is that as media is becoming corporatized, the interest of the corporate houses are more, and the networking and somehow relationship of bringing male editors are still there.
So
it's
you're saying
have.
that basically because of the corporate interest in Nepali media outlets, the social issues, including that of that media needs to play a role combating harmful practices, including that of gender-based violence, are overshadowed, and corporate interest is dominant. How can that be tackled?
Yeah, actually, I think you have raised it in a nice way. The issues related to gender-based violence or violence of any form towards any people based on gender or class, ethnicity is not being tackled completely the way it should to bring the issues in the front and make sure addresses are taken. But having said that, media is covering a lot of issues that are related to these issues. But one thing, Lakshmanji, that we have to go back and see, because you touched on the newsroom, I still feel that the representation of gender inside this equal gender equality inside the newsrooms are still skewed, because in the decision making, either it's in the ownership or in editorial level or senior reportership, still there are lack of women. It's not because women Nepal doesn't have. Nepal has a lot of women journalists which have made a mark in the international scenario, but still there's a lack of them reaching there. And that has different reasons to it. Lack of networking, lack of maybe social capital that they need to reach decision-making positions and all that. And what that is happening is, when you have voices that needs to come out in the papers and television daily, the voices has to represent all the people in the country, right? In any issue. Actually, social issues of violence happens everywhere. In the corporate sector, in the government sector, in households, in communities, right? And from these institutional levels, for these voices to come out, you have to have a proper representation from all the sectors. And in those sectors, you lack representation from all marginalized communities, and particularly the voices of women. So even now, if you look at the newspapers that come out every day, when you read any headline stories or inside stories, the quotations are still men, and men in power, not men out there to whom that issue may be sticking very regularly, but their voice doesn't represent. And on top of that, women's voices are still there. So right from the sources of stories, and also when there is issues of covering violence. Like, for example, let's take the issue of rape. One thing I want to say there is, it's because of the media of Nepal, these issues are coming out now. And also because more and more such cases are being reported. It's not that it wasn't happening before. It was happening before, but it wasn't coming out, right? And media has played a good role in bringing it out. But when we unpack and look at it, are they making it glamorized, or are they actually following it and bringing it out? Even in the case of Nirmala rape case, for me, frankly speaking, when I talk about rape cases, I don't like to use the word of the person who has been victim or who is a survivor, right? But that's how people take it up. Why hasn't media followed that issue in such a way that we get to the bottom of it? Unfortunately, our investigative journalism sector has also lacked, and particularly that case and cases like that, where several cases of domestic violence, rape, child abuse, sexual abuse of girls are being talked a lot, but sexual abuse of boys are not being talked now. And there are several cases of, when you talk of violence and rape, even men being raped, but even people talking about these issues are not being covered by the media.
Well, Ms. Sharma, there is criticism that the editors in mainstreaming media, that of newspapers and TV channels or radio stations and online these days, the criticism is that they don't want to talk about the social issues as such, especially that of the gender sensitive issues that needs to be prioritized within newsrooms.
Right.
You worked with editors, serving as a columnist to newspapers here in Nepal and abroad. How do you see the level of understanding among editors here in Nepal? Are they really not prioritizing the issues, or there is some sort of capacity, development problems associated with editors, not the reporters, understanding these critical issues?
Right. No, I think you have a very valid point there, Lakshmanji. I think you brought a very important and very interesting point. What I want to say here is, I think the editors, the quality of editors, the approach of editors in Nepal are changing over the years. And, majority, in fact, almost all editors of all the leading news dailies and television and everywhere, mostly are men, right? Among them, there are a few men editors who do give priority to social issues, issues related to gender and violence. And, it has been a pleasant surprise to see leading Kantipur, Kathmandu Post coming up with stories of social issues in the front line. But it happens only once in a while, not regularly. That doesn't mean that issues come only once in a while. Frankly speaking, the issues that you are talking about happens every day, right? And if the media is consistently bringing it, putting pressure, media's role is not to change the laws. But if you bring up the issue continuously, then there has to be a pressure on the policymakers to change it, right? And then activists have to come to take that issue up. What I see lacking over here is, although in many cases, there are still, I still hear comments like, oh, okay, these issues are there, but let's give priority to politics, But what they don't understand is the biggest politics is actually politics related to social issues and gender issues. Because whatever decision you make, whatever policies are made by Nepal government or other institutions also, non-government institutions also, it involves the lives of people at the end of the day. You look at what is happening in pandemic. Why is domestic violence increasing a lot? I've written in several papers, Rise in Nepal, Nepali Times, these are the two places that I write regularly, and also Kantipur, right? Why is domestic violence increasing a lot? It's not because of pandemic itself. It's values that are being carried from generations to generations, and when there are closed doors, no matter what the laws are, that increases a lot. And within the domestic violence, it's women, children and elderly who are suffering, but mainly women and girls. The same thing, violence is not only just beating up and all that. Girls, there was a story, a research that was done, and I have written about it, is more than 52% of the rural family community girls are dropping out of school, and after pandemic, that's going to be a reality of Nepal. Now look at this sad situation, After restoration of democracy, we worked so hard to put girls in school, and at least the numbers were increasing, at least in up till high school. In the university level, still there was a lack of girls, but till high school, girls' education was increasing a lot. But the fact that their education is now they are at the risk of being pulled out of school. What does that mean? That means that it's going to have a negative impact on the overall Nepali community of future, the youth of future. Rural area girls 50%, 52% getting out of school means that's a huge resource that has been pumped into them before going to waste. And also the fact that these girls are then pulled and put either into domestic work or get married. So you're going back to the whole situation that was there before the social revolution started. Actually, in Nepal, we now need a whole social revolution to change the mindset of people. And there, media also has to be involved.
How to change the mindset of, the media owners or publishers who are just picking male editors in the newsrooms? Do you agree that there is a kind of nexus between editors and publishers? Because, I have not seen here in Nepal that editors' posts have been ever advertised in the newspapers. But you are saying that women are equally qualified to lead the newsroom. So to institutionalize these issues, we are talking about the harmful practices or gender-based violence. What do you have to say?
Lakshmanji, I think you put it in a very nice way. And actually, thank you for asking this question. I just want to share with you, just recently, as you and I know, in Nepal, regularly there are changes of editors, right? And just recently there was a change in one of the leading news papers of the country. So I talked with these editors myself. How come all the time whenever you go around talking, I hear you all say, there has to be gender equality and there are women capable editors. But again, when there is a change, you don't even have any women in the line of this thing, either suggestion or even why don't you advertise and see if qualified women come, And then the first question is, oh, Namtaji, there are no women. I said, come on, at least don't say that to me. I am a proof here that there are lots of other women like me who have worked not only in Nepal but internationally leading newspapers and issues related to newspapers, heading organizations, chairing. So we are there. But like you said rightly, advertising is still not there. And even if they do it in such a way that it's already decided. So the nexus between the publishers and a certain group of journalism is there. Not only that, even politicians. There's a consultation between different factions of politics on whom should we bring on this position. You see? So but having said that, a couple of editors who are there in the market, they have improved over the years, I've seen their quality improving, their editorial write-ups increasing. But still, when you come and in the skewed relation, and actually this affects the way that news houses, media houses write about issues in Nepal, because if the same mindset is still there and same mindset are being rotated and controlled by a group of nexus people, then you get the same kind of issues coming out. So no new sites are coming. But now, what I also want to talk today is, if you look at the people keep on talking about women's empowerment, the feminist movement in Nepal and all that, or worldwide. What I feel is just having laws is not enough. If you look at 1990 and now, lots of laws have been amended, lots of new laws have been formulated, and old laws have been amended. You yourself know that. In general, about gender, about social issues, and particularly issues related to women, elderly and children, right? Then also laws related to media. So there are things like working journalists should get this and there should be gender representation, everything is there. But Lakshmanji, tell me frankly, do you see that happening? No. Even in the rights issues, when you fight for either property or you fight for your rights, nowadays what I see younger people saying is, why is there a quota system? If women want to be equal to men, there shouldn't be this. Women don't want to be equal to men. What women want to be is, they want to be what they are. Why should they have to even claim to be equal to anybody? They are human beings and they have to be treated and given equal rights as a citizen of this country. That is nothing different they are asking for.
That is really
So-
interesting, Ms. Sarma. What are the least prioritized issues in Nepali media in relations to gender-based violence or harmful practices, and what are the least analyzed issues that Nepali media now needs to focus upon?
There are several things like having quality and qualified and experienced women journalists leading in each and every big media houses in Nepal is a must. That is lacking. And now, please don't listen to anybody if they say that there aren't women who are capable of doing that. There are. You can get women who are very capable of leading newsrooms and media houses also. So one is that is really neglected. And although people talk a lot about this, that we can do it, we have to do it, it hasn't happened. That's number one. The other thing is, there are lots of government entities, commissions and different places where there are seats for women in the in journalism world, in media sector, in information commission, wherever, There also, there now has to be a very independent and neutral committee selecting women who are capable of sitting in that position, not listening to people being pressurized by any political or other groups, but who can actually take independent decisions and lead the country's media. Not just for women, country's media I'm talking, okay. Unfortunately, Lakshmanji, you and I know that even institutions like FNJ are very politicized in this country, So people who are neutral, people who can do a lot for the media in the country, cannot reach positions because they are not, if they are neutral people and not political or politically associated people. So there are lots of, information centers, commissions, where there are lots of work to be done for media. You look, there are people there, but you need to have more people who can actually do independent work and neutral work to lead issues related to media and issues related to good journalism in the country. You see, it's not just, you don't want, like just having seats for having a woman representation in these commissions is not enough. So that person is not going to do only things for women. That person is going to lead the country's journalism. That's the thought that people has to have.
Well,
also in teaching institutions.
Really interesting issues you are sharing with us, but we are coming to the end of the show. Before we wrap up the show, I would like to ask you about the gendered disinformation. Along with the COVID-19 pandemic, there are a lot of stories shared over the mainstream media, newspaper and online outlets, also in social media, that is, unfortunately promoting gendered disinformation. In the name of glamour or in the name of sellable content, harassment, and women are in many contexts projected as the submissive features and all. How can media and the literate mass here in Nepal prevent gendered disinformation, so to promote gender equality within news rooms? Very quickly.
It's very interesting. Women's body was exposed to sell cars before the digital age, and now the digital age is doing that too. That is one part. The other thing is issues related to character assassination of women, particularly women who have reached top position in any profession, is being done more and more in the digital age. See, digital age is a boon to humanity, and especially to journalists, because we can reach people even during pandemics in a very professional way. But unfortunately, the misuse of digital age is again being more harmful for those who don't have a voice, and particularly those who are in gender minority. I think there has to be there has to be respect to right to information and right to protection of privacy. But when there are people in public figures, there is a right for the public to know what is happening with them, but not individual who don't have a lot of say on public things, right? So I think what needs to be done is digital media is here to stay, and we need to know that. So nowadays there is a big need for digital literacy, information literacy, which is digital literacy on how do you get information and how do you find out that this is fake news. You see, there are very simple things like you can actually go and try to see the website and see the authenticity of the website. And then there has to be a stoppage of sharing these false news. It's a difficult task. This world is here to stay, the digital world. But I think it's for people like you and I to make awareness, especially among the youth, how to use the digital media to improve the conditions of human beings on this earth and not actually lead towards violence via internet.
Well, it was really a pleasure talking to you, Ms. Sharma. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Lakshmanji, for having me here. And I hope it's been a pleasure to interact with you and YOHO Television.
Dear viewers, time now to wrap up the show. Keep watching us. See you next week. Namaste.